Oh, just got to find where you went. Okay. Okay, so it is Sunday, the 9th of November. We are just going to hopefully give people an opportunity to join us for our live tonight. I want to give people a few minutes. I have tagged. If you can tag your friends, that would be good as well. We will keep an eye on the comments as well. And so do say hello if you're joining us. And hopefully you've had your notification. Like if you put your exclamation mark notify under in the comments, and hopefully you will have had your notification. So good evening, everyone. Today is Remembrance Sunday, as some of you may have celebrated, and we typically remember how people gave up their lives for us, so that we could live in a free country. And that ties in a lot with what we're doing as home educators. Is we want to maintain that freedom that people fought so hard for. So we're going to start off with a bit of a conversation about Joy Baker. Now, some of you may have heard of Joy Baker. November is a significant month because Joy Baker won a significant appeal uh, to be allowed to home educate her children, and she had a subsequent court case. It wasn't quite finished yet, but that was kind of marked the beginning of the end on the 15th of November 1961. And so we have Joy Baker she lived in the 50s and 60s. As I said, her case was in 1961, 15th of November. And she was a mother of 7 children, and she did not want to send her children to school. And she had ongoing battles with her local authority that spanned, I think, is it almost 10 years, Amy? Something like that? Yeah. And we decided to claim the 15th of November as Joy Baker Day for home education freedom. It's not specifically about joy, but more representing the battles that we have to maintain our freedom to educate our children uh, as parents. So, 15th of November, next Saturday, is Joy Baker Day. We will be celebrating by having a live broadcast from the Joy Baker Day Facebook page, which you can go and find and follow or like, whatever you need to do, so that you can join us next Saturday. We will have some guests as well, and we will be talking about the importance of having that freedom to home educate. But this year, it's actually been a bit of a bumper month for Joy Baker related matters. Now, Joy Baker wrote a book in 1964 called Children in Chancery. This book was not in, it was printed back then. It sold some copies, but it was not reprinted. And so people have been having to pay huge amounts of money to get hold of this book because it's so rare. But now it has been brought back into print by Living Press Books in Australia, and you can now purchase a copy for yourself. You can get hardcover, you can get a paperback, or you can also get a digital version. But not only that, there's a couple of other books which Joy wrote which talk about family life. So you can actually get all three together as a set. So we will be sharing the link so you can actually go and get a copy of Joy's book into a book or books in your hands to read for yourself her very articulate relating of the family story and their battles through with the local authority and in court. But another thing that we decided within our Home Education Alliance was to set up a charity called the Joy Baker Fund. And the Joy Baker Fund is has been set up to protect people from if families are taken to court, and they would be very specific cases. But the Joy Baker Fund would be able to apply for a grant to prevent you from falling into financial hardship defending your freedom to home educate. Now, this is still quite a baby charity. We haven't got raised huge amount of funds yet, but hopefully, if home educators can get behind this fund and perhaps commit to donating £1 or £2 a month, a cup of coffee a month, to the fund, we will quickly raise funds which can then help to protect families going into court. There are trustees for the charity as well. But what has happened is we finally got a website up. So it is still slightly in development. So there are bits and pieces you will notice that are not quite ready yet. But by and large, the Joy Baker Fund a website is available now for you to go and make donations and set up a monthly payment if you want to support that. Um, I just want to say I was the first to do that. So um, it works. You can do that. And the website, as you can see, is joybakerfund.org.uk. Um, go and have a look at the website. It does explain what it's all about, so you can find out more and do share about it in your local groups as well, so people can get behind it. And as I said, if every single family just puts £1 or £2 a month in, we will soon have enough to be able to take applications for grants. Particularly if the children's wellbeing and schools bill comes in, we're going to probably be dealing with a lot more families being taken to court. So this is something that is much needed. So this is why November this year, November 2025, is a significant month, because you've got Joy Baker Day, we've got the book has just come out, and we've got the website for the Joy Baker Fund. So these are just amazing things that are all named after Joy Baker because of what she represents. To us as ordinary home educating parents. So there we go. That's all the bits about Joy Baker. And then we can to the next thing. Okay, so Michelle, do you want to tell us a little about the Broken Voices campaign?
Right, yeah. So for people who've been following the Stop the Children's Wellbeing and Skills Bill page for some time now, if you watched our protest in the Senate, you'll have seen a young girl, preteen, stand up and speak, and her name's Alice. Now, Alice made the decision herself to be home educated this year, having watched her parent fight to try and get her education in another manner, and having watched her parent fight for her siblings as well. She watched Ben and Addison create Hidden Voices Speak, and has been inspired by the anthology they made, and wanted to create a similar anthology, but this one's more about where you did actually break. So this isn't, whereas the other anthology was sort of celebrating home education itself, this one is finding a space for children to be able to write their stories, put their pictures in, create anything that just shares their voice, where they feel they've been ignored up till now, so that there's one place where their voices can be there, saying their story or saying what they want to say about either how they've been made to feel by the systems, or how they feel the systems could work better for them, or just anything they feel that just shares what they want to say at the moment, about their sort of educational journey. And it's opened this week, the 8th of November, and you could submit up till the 8th of December. As you see, there's a Google form which you can submit to, but if you're not somebody who can do Google, don't worry, they've got an email address you can email your submissions into. And so, yeah, they want it on one A4 sheet, preferably, per entry. And I think she's trying to turn it around so that it will be available so people can give them as Christmas presents, which is why it's 8th of November till the 8th of December. So Alice is very keen to try and turn this around quite quickly.
That's amazing. And this is something to also go and share in your local groups or local communities. I'm noticing more and more that in other groups that are not related to home education, people are asking for help and support in relation to issues that their children are having within the education system. So people are they are everywhere. So do share this in other forums as well. That sounds amazing. Okay, and then we have Michelle here, who's here with us, has been working on this big protest which we're planning for Saturday, the 17th of January, in London. And Michelle, do you want to? What would you like to say about that?
Yep. So Queever's working harder than me on it this time, on this particular protest. But yes, so Queever and I have got this march and rally on the 17th of January against the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill. We want it to be bigger and better than any we've done before, because by this point we are really at that last point of trying to get people to listen to the concerns. And people still don't know this bill exists. So I was at Parliament at Evidence Week speaking last Monday. And a lot of people, when I spoke about the bill, it was the first time they've heard about the bill, and we're really at that last stage. So it's really important that we get as many people as possible, so that we can't be dismissed as we were in March this year as a sparse amount. We don't want that now. We've managed to get a petition over 166,000. We should be able to have a march and a rally that cannot be described as sparse.
Yes.
Queever's worked really hard so that we'll have coverage throughout the day. So at the moment, if people are available to be stewards, if they can send us an email, because as I said, we want this bigger and better than anything we've done before. That means we need more stewards than we've ever needed before. And we'd rather have too many than not enough, because not enough causes us problems on the day. Too many just adds to our numbers on the day. Doesn't cause us any problems. The other bit is, because we are going bigger and better, so we're wanting professional staging in place. On top of the other bits, we are looking for sponsorship. Again, email Queever directly so that we can coordinate everything in one place, because we're trying to keep this particular march and rally separate from everything else we're doing, because we are trying to make it bigger and better, and we're trying to get lots of other organisations on board behind us, particularly other children's organisations, because obviously ultimately this is about children's rights and parental responsibility to bring up their child in the way that they believe is best for their overall family. So yeah, any questions though, obviously you can always message the page, and you can always email Queever directly. She's quite happy to have any questions put directly to her. I know people have looked at things and done 2+2. Remember her role as a type of journalist, so she covers all sorts of protests. So I know people look on her page, she's covered this, she's covered that. That's because she covers all of this. This is normal for her. And I think we're moving on to the next bit. So we want everyone, put that in your diary, 17th of January. We want you there with us. And the other thing Queever's been doing, Queever's live streamed a lot of our protests, including the costume march in a torrent of rain, which wasn't great for her equipment, but she live streamed that one as well as our earlier ones. And she's been putting together a documentary for us across the different protests, across the story of the bill, all the different harms in the bill. And this is a picture of her filming a little bit outside the Department for Education to go into this documentary. The documentary is coming along really, really well. We're looking for it to be out right at the beginning of January. It'll be out ahead of the protest. But we're looking for a name.
Yeah.
So if anyone has a really, really good name, Queever would love you to send her an email with the idea for the really, really good name, because we're looking for a good name for this documentary, which sums up the journey of the fight against the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill, and the fight to ensure children have the right to have the education that suits them and is in line with their parents' beliefs.
Thank you, Michelle. I am planning on attending that protest in January, and I really want to encourage people. You've got plenty of warning. Put it in your calendars. It is January. It will be cold. Know that it will be cold. Let's not chicken out because of the cold. Let's just dress appropriately, but let's be there, because this is it. This is it. Your last chance to really go and make your presence known. So whatever you need to do, plan to do it. Okay, so where are we at? We've got running list of amendments. Do we know of any new ones at the moment that impact us? Nothing really. Okay. Okay, but you can keep an eye on that. It's good to go and check that every once in a while if you are able to. Then
The other bit is the second we start seeing lots of amendments added, that probably indicates members of the House of Lords have been given an indication that there is a report stage date to be announced. Because obviously they will know before we know, because they don't just magically appear in the diary. There isn't much, but there is a tiny little bit of discussion when they do listings. So if all of a sudden we see a big flurry of amendments but don't see a report stage date shown, there's a high chance they've been told something that we don't yet know publicly. So that's the point when everyone needs to be taking seriously any amendments they don't see appearing in this. If the peer spoke about it at committee stage and you think, actually, I want that brought back, that was a good amendment, that will be the time we'll be asking you to write to those peers and sort of say, are you going to bring back this amendment? It was really, really good. And it would help me by with whatever the story is to link it personally.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate so far to get this little bit of a stalling. So we don't know when that time's going to run out. So we do need to be on top of this as much as possible. But as yet, no date on report stage. Okay, then is it the open letter next, Kat? No, the questions. Sorry, where are we? Okay. Yeah, so Michelle, you know more about this letter. So if you want to give us a bit of information on that.
So obviously this, anyone who's heard me banging on about this all year, this bill is a patchwork of 100 things that shouldn't ever be stuck in the same salad. And one of the things at clause 4 is them changing the children's rights around data. So it's adding in a requirement, a duty to share at a much lower threshold. So safeguarding's out the window. You don't need consent. Just you may promote welfare, which basically means anything, because anything may promote someone's welfare, depending on your subjective view. Now, a few of us went to something called the Battle of Ideas a few weeks ago, and Together Action had a massive presence there, mainly because some of them were speaking because they had a session on digital ID, and they have pro speakers and against speakers. And so some people had lengthy conversations with them. And we were overjoyed to see that a couple of weeks later, an open letter on the points that have been brought up, that the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill effectively means that even if as adults we reject the digital ID, our children won't have the choice. So we've already got in schools where they're already paying for the lunch by biometrics. So most schools it's the thumbprint, but we already have more than a handful now of schools that pay for your lunch by your face. So then if we're putting all of this in and using the NHS number, which is what, if you check Hansard records in the House of Lords, they indicated the NHS number is what's going to be used for the consistent identifier. Important point there, your NHS number doesn't expire when you're 16 or 18. So that means whatever data is shared is not going to expire at the end of your childhood. And you've already got some of those records. So we're going across education, health, social care, and any other agencies the Secretary of State determines. So anybody, basically.
It includes the police. And so,
this information can be shared with at that really, really hard threshold of may promote welfare. And no consent's required, no consent by the child themselves. Because remember, children are their own data subjects, and no consent off their parents. So this is a really, really, really big and significant change to data privacy rights for every child. Worse than that, we know the data protection impact assessment hasn't even factored in clause 4. We know this because a few of us have done FOIs. Anyone can go on what do they know. You can look up Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill data protection impact assessment. You can see them saying they're going to consider this when they go to regulations. Well, that's a bit late because it should be considered in the discussions before it gets put in the bill. And obviously Together Action have been campaigning against digital ID since the COVID vaccine passports that looked like they were going to be turned into a digital ID. So they know what they're doing with these things. So for them to take on board what we've discussed, go away and look into it themselves, and they took away some of the Reclaim Rights for Children's leaflets to look at, and then come back with an open letter. They've seen what we're seeing as well. So we want everyone to read, sign, share with your MPs, let them read the reasons, because people forget what real safeguarding is. And the MPs, a lot of them, they're waking up, but a lot of them literally just being told, oh, no, we need that in there to safeguard children, are not looking beyond that, not looking at, hang on, but there's no consent here. Hang on, but these children, there isn't even a known risk highlighted or even suspected before we're sharing their data. And no one is asking the children about this.
Yeah.
And then they can't even make that data go away. There isn't a point where it goes away, because if it's linked to an NHS number, that's for life.
And it means that information that could be really sensitive can be accessed by people who shouldn't be able to access it. That information can be used and abused, exploited in however many ways you can imagine. So I think it is really important to keep these things separate. The same applies for the proposed digital ID for adults as well. These things need to be kept separate, because the whole point of the data being used, you always get told, oh, the data will only be used for this thing, for this purpose. But then you might find that then the data is being used for other purposes. Because of who's got access to it. So very important. And the thresholds are incredibly so low as to be meaningless to share your data. So we should be very concerned.
Yeah, and this is a quick and easy action you can do. It literally takes you under 2 minutes. Click on it, put your name on it, do the simple maths, or use a calculator for the thing to prove you're not a bot, and you're done. So it's a really quick and simple, effective method of showing that you don't accept this for your children, or for your friends' children, if you haven't got children yourself, or relatives' children.
And I know we keep going on about different petitions you can sign and things you can sign. Please bear in mind how little time these take. A lot of people are not able to get to protests in person and that kind of thing, but this is something you can do. And we would encourage you to sign as many of these different petitions and things as you can, whether you've signed one or not, whether you're confused by them or not, just sign them, because the more the government gets coming at them, the better. The more complaints they get from different groups and so on, the better. Reclaim Rights for Children also has like a change.org petition which you can sign, which is very similar. But there's no harm in signing both. Absolutely no harm. It just means it's yet another source for them, for that information or that protest to come from, another direction that they have to.
I pointed out right at the beginning, when people were starting to find it quite confusing seeing so many petitions and asking why we weren't rallying around just one, that actually by spreading your signature across 10 or 20 different petitions or different things like the open letter, you are giving your signature more power and more scope. Because if you can sign just 5 petitions, that's 5 times more powerful than just signing that one. If you sign 10, that's 10 times more powerful. And that is helping out everybody, because if we all do it together and we all boost all of these petitions, it has a massive impact, because then the government are having to answer not just one petition, but 10 petitions, and their heads spinning, because they're like, I'm getting it from every angle. So we have to hit them with everything.
Plus we're keeping them out of mischief, because we got them answering this. But it is so true, because the thing is, we get arguments from people where they say, well, actually, what difference does it make? The government's not listening anyway. They're not going to listen unless we really, really get the high numbers. So the more people who say they're not going to listen anyway and then don't sign, yes, that is basically, what do they call it? It's like, foretelling, it's a foregone conclusion for you. But yet, if we can sign as many as possible and we can get the numbers up on every single petition and really push, use all that anger you've got about these things to share these petitions out there and get them out there.
And the other side is, if they don't listen, you've lost seconds of your life signing a petition. If they do listen, you've potentially changed the course of history.
Exactly.
So for the sake of a couple of seconds to just put your name and email address in, it's worth it even if they didn't. But we do know they're listening because of other conversations we have
Yeah.
in the background.
And we have to think of
The
also
other
like,
useful things with these is those when you're talking to your MP, if you're like, I don't know what to say, you can absolutely refer them to sections in these. So this petition's quite good in that it has really detailed explanations of the concerns and the harm that it will lead to, which you may not have the words to articulate
Exactly.
yourself, but there's nothing that stops you going. And if you look over here, this says this, and they have a whole website and loads of experts. And if you go on the Reclaim Rights for Children one, you'll see a load of experts with very, very high profile in social care and in education. They know what they're talking about, professionals who have spoken out against this. So where you're like, I'm not quite sure of my expertise, using other people's petitions and letters, and that's using them, not pretending that they're your own, using them to illustrate the concerns and pointing the MPs, well, if you don't accept me, your constituent, look at all of these really big experts, they're talking about it. And I sort of will listen to the experts in social care and in children's development over the government without that experience.
Yeah.
And what also helps us as well, that doesn't take very long, is just commenting on some of these posts. So this live has been up for nearly half an hour and we've not had many comments. If everybody that's watching now could just put listening in the comments, we will beat the algorithm and we will get this video to more people all over the internet. So if you're there and you're watching this video or you're watching this on playback, just pop a comment in the bottom there saying listening. If you've got no questions at all, that's fine. You don't have to say anything, but just help us to get this boosted, because we need everybody to help get this petition up and to get these actions going, because we want everyone's voice to be heard.
To get the word out, and you know, the thing is, we do this live precisely so that people who don't have time to go and read everything can get a catch up in one in a half an hour or a little more, as it might be this evening. I just want to say also about all of these petitions and so on, we have to think one day if we do lose these free children, ask us, you know, what did you do? You know, why didn't anybody do anything? This is your chance to do something. This may be your only chance to do something. So don't, you know, let's not drop the ball on this. And we're all in it together. You know, you're not alone. Okay, next up. Okay, is this questions that have been asked? What was this latest one? Is this the impact assessment one? This was quite interesting, wasn't it? Because this was quite revealing in its response.
So just added myself in briefly. Yeah, there were a couple of questions this week about the bill. They're not necessarily hugely relevant to us necessarily, but it's just to keep people informed that things are moving on. So yeah, the links, of course, will be in the Substack.
Yes,
I don't know.
I want to mention that one that we were just on quickly, just to say,
sure.
Is that one that she was, the question was about the equality impact assessment. And what was particularly telling is that it says in the second paragraph of Georgia Gould's answer, this assessment was prepared by officials responsible for the measures in the bill. So the people who wrote the bill are doing the impact assessment on the bill. Objective and independent. And then the next paragraph says no external consultants were involved in the preparatory impact assessment.
That is very true.
And this is that we could actually also write to
MPs. Yeah, we could write to MPs about
highlight.
Yeah. And the other one was about making care experience a protected characteristic. And basically, no, they're not going to do that. But I know that's of interest to some of the people that normally watch each week.
And there will be lots more in the Substack that's been popping up.
Yep.
And then do we have anything else then, Kat?
There were a few bits in the news.
Oh yes, the same old.
Yep. So there were a couple of bits.
Old alarmist stuff.
Yep. Redcar and Cleveland Council. 2 different articles this week.
But they are picking out that special educational needs children tend to be a factor amongst children with SEND. Mm-hmm. So that message is starting to come through now with the crisis in this country around SEND. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then there were just a few other bits of sort of general education news. Oh goodness, I haven't got rid of all the pop-ups.
I love this one because we've been banging on for so long about, but what's your evidence? And I don't know how many times I've had the conversation, what's your evidence behind this bill? What's your evidence? Well, they're not happy with all the evidence that does exist already. I know Birmingham for years has done some really, really good research around neurodiverse learning and how children don't fit into certain classroom environments. And they've done really, really intense research. And I know many other universities have as well. It's just I happen to have read a lot of the Birmingham stuff that is very specific to neurodevelopment. But the DfE, bearing in mind, if they've got this money to, spav up the wall, rather than invest it in the local authorities that cannot seem to afford the actual education our children with SEN require, we've decided there's not enough evidence to show how they learn. And even when they did this really big assessment review on the curriculum, they couldn't really factor in SEN other than, and that they will have to somehow make sure that the SEN children are included. As opposed to, it could have been a fantastic review. They could have done a whole section on how you do that and how you make the curriculum include that. But no, instead of accepting the reams and reams of evidence that already exists, they're going to set up their own research centre for a couple of years. So although they mention NICE, which I'm someone who's also advocated we need an equivalent of NICE in education, we need an arm's length body who looks at the research and ensures that any changes made to the law and any changes to guidance match what the evidence says about good child development and good children's well-being. But rather than set up that, they're going to set up a research centre for a couple of years so that they can be informed in what they're going to change in policy, as opposed to listen to all the research that already exists, all the parents that are telling you what we need, all the educational psychologists, all the child development experts, all the social care experts.
And after they've written the bill,
we will create our own magical research centre. I don't want to use the word manufacture evidence, but it's being led by the government to help them get the evidence for their policy, and they've sort of given indications what their policy is.
Corrupt.
Which the current research doesn't back up what they're saying for inclusion. So you do have to wonder on timing when all the research doesn't back up what they're saying is inclusion, that they now announce money, bearing in mind we've got a big black hole and we're all going to have to pay more tax and there isn't any money even to help us. They can find money to fund a specific research centre for a couple of years on a specific area that they keep saying scandal, crisis, broken system, and they won't commit to protect children's current lawful rights with regards to SEN. So they're going to create their own body of evidence, which can then inform their policy. So as much as I normally welcome research, and I genuinely would welcome something similar to NICE in education, where they bring in existing experts and they bring them together and create genuine policy based on that, it just it doesn't pass the sniff test. It really doesn't, particularly as we were supposed to get a white paper right now on SEND, because parents, well done, you all stood up to the government and said, we ain't taking that. They went, we'll push that into the spring. So now instead of the white paper, they're announcing a special research centre that's going to generate the evidence to help them. So it just doesn't pass the sniff test for me. Because if they've got this spare money, put it directly into SEND, or pay the researchers that are already doing it, contact the people who are already set up, already have the networks, and say, this is the question we need answered. Do you think? It looks good on paper, but there's a whiff there that just doesn't match up.
Well, I don't think there'll be any job creation there either, to be honest, because they like to retain staff. So what they'll do is migrate staff into this new research project that they know have already been conditioned within the DFE to think, act, and be
for the cause.
And the thing is that we know also that often the money is actually going on the smoke and mirrors to distract us from other things that are going on. So, like for instance, the free breakfast clubs, they've spent more money, I think, on advertising the free breakfast clubs than on the free breakfast clubs. Yes, well, that's.
Sorry, my son just reminded me you didn't use the air quotes.
Yeah, but she's got a £90 million budget
for the advertising,
for public relations. For the whereas the money could actually be going into doing the job, and if it was so amazing, if what they're offering is so amazing, so much money advertising it, people, it wouldn't need advertising, which was such a good thing. So there we go. This is what we're dealing with these days.
And the DFE video showing that the child is being given a pastry wrapped in plastic and a juice of apple for their breakfast.
Yeah. Anyway, this is what we're dealing with now. Kat, have we got any more?
Just a couple of bits about the curriculum and assessment review being published this week. So
no, I haven't
not only
neither I've read articles here and there, so I'm picking up bits.
Yeah. But not only did they publish the final report, the government on the same day published their response. So nice reading for tomorrow morning.
I do need to go and have a go look. The thing is that if this one is a world-class curriculum, what was the last one that they said was world-class?
Yes,
I thought the last one was world-class, so obviously it wasn't. If this one is world-class, anyway. Very cynical about these things, because I have seen a lot of people complaining that it's not going to, they're basically getting rid of some of the things that are needed in order to push new things in. But anyway, a lot going on in the news at the moment as well. A lot of negative feeling.
Yes.
So that's why we have to keep fighting. You take that energy that's angry with everything and put it into your petitions and your protests and whatever you can do.
Sharing.
Yes. So please do share this, share with the live with friends that are in the action group. It is publicly available on the Alliance page and on YouTube as well. We have a YouTube channel which is called the Home Education Channel. Finally reached 1,000 subscribers during the past week. So thank you for doing that. Go and order Joy Baker's book so that you can find out about how she dealt with the struggles that she had with the local authority. You can get a digital copy and have it available immediately. And what else? Just have a good week.
For those in the Home Ed Action Group, I am going to be reinstating our local action Zooms. I just became so busy that literally couldn't fit it in. So the next one's going to be the 24th, and I will put, and it'll be 8 p.m. like normal, and I will put a Zoom link in the Home Ed Action Group in the next few days.
Thank you.
But just for those who have previously come, I haven't forgotten you, and I know you've been doing amazing things. I've seen some of the bits where you've met with MPs. I've seen some of the questions asked in the House of Commons that I know has come directly out of some of the actions you've been doing, because I know what you've been discussing with me and sharing with me. And then I've seen your MP ask those questions. So you are doing fantastically in the background. I haven't forgotten. I literally just got snowed under and had no capacity. So I'm really
well done, everyone.
The next one.
Well done to those. And please remember, next Saturday, 1:30, we will be celebrating Joy Baker Day, but with a live feed, a live stream conversation on the Joy Baker Day page. If you have not yet liked that page, please go and find it. It is called Joy Baker Day for Home Education Freedom. It is our Home Education Day that we want to celebrate. And also think about what you want to do in your local community, or think about what you can do on social media that day to raise awareness of the need to be able to have freedom in how our children are educated.
And if you think your MP will be receptive to it, nothing stops you from ordering them a copy of
exactly
Children of Chancery, because it may help them understand why we are digging our heels in and saying, no, it's parents who have the responsibility to ensure their children receive their right to education. It's a child's right to education, but it's a parent's responsibility to ensure they receive that.
Yes.
And her battle perfectly illustrates when the state get it wrong. And
Yes.
they're getting it wrong again, but there's still time to stand up at the moment, because until that royal assent is achieved, everything's still to play for.
Yes, and I believe it is Joy's family members who've had the book brought back into print, and I believe that a portion of the proceeds will go to the Joy Baker Fund, which is for home educating families to be able to apply for grants. So please do share on your groups that this book is now available for you to purchase for under a tenner. There is a flat rate postage in terms of, because it's coming from Australia, but in all much cheaper than paying £50 or even £100, as one of the original copies is still on Amazon for. So do go and grab yourself a copy and read that. It's a very, very good story. Okay, I think that's everything. So do remember to join us next Sunday for our live again, and hopefully we will hear from you at the Joy Baker live stream next week as well. Take care.